Hey, thanks for joining us. I'm Kent Justice, your host for This Week in Jacksonville Business Edition. And our guest today lives in St. Augustine, but is a little newer to Northeast Florida. I'm getting a lot of enjoyment out of getting to know Jeff Bacon. He's the commissioner of the Atlantic Sun Conference, just shy of 2 years in your current role with the A-Sun. So welcome to you. Thanks for making time for us.
Thanks for having me. It's great.
How are you enjoying Northeast Florida rather than Northeast Ohio?
Northeast Florida is a little different than Northeast Ohio.
And I can relate to this. Lived in Ohio for a dozen years, yes.
It's been great. I mean, the transition's been phenomenal. The welcome of the community has been spectacular. The weather's the weather, the beaches are the beaches.
Yeah.
But being here has been wonderful. As you said, it's been almost 2 years, and I feel like we've been here for a decade, so really enjoying it.
Yeah, well, let's talk about, I guess, the decision to move headquarters here, and then we'll get into a big announcement that you guys had recently about the men's and women's basketball championships. But yeah, tell us about that decision for the A-Sun to say we're going to headquarter in Jacksonville.
Well, when I took the job, Kent, we were in Atlanta, Georgia at the time, and one of the things we recognized early is that we had to get closer to our membership in particular, and we had to have the opportunity to access games and coaches and the folks that are participating in the Atlantic Sun Conference. So we undertook a study to look at moving the offices out of Atlanta with that intention in mind, and Jacksonville was a natural fit with two schools right here that are longstanding members of the league, and knowing that we had a community that really wanted us to be here and was going to support us, and that we felt like we could provide some value back to the community as well, was really important. And so we're the only Division I conference office in the state of Florida, which is something we're really proud of, and I hope the city of Jacksonville is too.
Well, so let's talk about this. So our podcast focuses on economic growth and development. What were some of the things that the city of Jacksonville said to make the conference say, yeah, they do want us there?
Yeah, well, you know, it was a real partnership, and we didn't ask for anything to come here. They didn't offer anything to come here. It was really about what's the right fit for us, and knowing that this is a sports-hungry city that's growing in terms of population and the families and the young people that are moving here and the kids. That community is growing and flourishing, and you've got a city that's really hungry for sports and looking to activate their sports foundation, which they've now brought back, and find ways to attract more events to the city. That's something that we can help with. And so it was really easy to figure out that we can be partners here. We can help you, you can help us. We want to bring events to the city. We need a home and support for those events, and it was pretty a natural fit from the beginning.
Jeff, definitely want to dive in a little bit more on that, but let's go to the most recent news, which was the big announcement here that the conference is going to have the men and women's basketball championships here in Jacksonville. So moving to Jackson 2026, why is that? And then let's talk about some of the positives and how this is all going to work.
Yeah. Well, one, I'm proud of the fact that we've done it, because when we moved the offices here, one of the things we promised to the community was to try to bring events behind us. And so to be fulfilling that promise a year later is really exciting. So the process to decide where we were going to move that was really intense. It was about an 18-month-long process. We looked at a number of cities that were all really interested in our championship, which was exciting to see. But when it came down to it, again, we had a city that proved itself as a partner. The city got behind the event. The Sports Foundation is behind the event. Visit Jacksonville is behind the event. ViStar Arena and what they bring to the table. It's a great venue and a great location. We're working on some great hotel partnerships that we think are going to really enhance our experience. So once again, it was a natural opportunity to bring an event to the city that we think is going to enhance the experience for our student athletes and our fans, which is just really critical.
So definitely from the conference perspective, you're saying, yeah, we want this to be a great, exciting event for people. And so obviously from the city perspective, I think the leadership here is saying, yeah, we want the tourism, we want other people to come. Is that something that each side can say there's a positive for you and there's a positive for me in this?
Oh, there has to be, right, to make it work. And we hope it works for a really long time, too. This isn't a 1 or 2 year deal. We hope we're here for decades if it works out, right? So it needs to work for both sides. And we want to be somewhere that we know the city and the community is going to provide that great elite experience, as I like to say. And we want to be in a city where we're going to bring value back to the community. We're going to have 24 teams here over a 7-day period. It's really hard to find another event in this industry or this world that does that, that brings that kind of sporting community to a city for that extended period of time, an entire week. So 24 teams, 12 schools, 22 games over 7 days. Tell you what, if you're a basketball fan, we've got
Right.
you know?
Yeah. So this, it doesn't sound like it, and you know the logistics. Can it all be in one location, or will this be spread out, different locations, different arenas, if you will?
We're working through that right now. We will likely have an opening round or so that will probably take place outside of VyStar Veterans Memorial and maybe at JU's campus or at UNF's campus because of the volume. But we will start all of our games in VyStar on what will basically be our quarterfinal day, or Thursday. We'll go Thursday through what will be a Monday in VyStar. So I think of those 22 games, at least 14 will be in the main arena.
Will you have to think about staggering? Okay, women's games on these days, men's games on these days, or how do you do that?
Yeah, they're at the same time. It's 2 tournaments, right? It's
Yeah.
men's and women's, same days, same time, same week. So yeah, we're working through that a little bit right now as we speak. You'll likely see something where, hey, it's all women's games one day and all men's games the next, and they'll start to blend together towards the end of the tournament. We'll have a great day no matter how we structure the tournament. Saturday will be a spectacular day for basketball fans because we'll have 2 women's semifinals in the morning/afternoon, and we'll have 2 men's semifinals in the evening at night. So we'll have our best of the best on the court all day Saturday. So I'm really excited about that.
Help people understand what the conference tournament has been in the past. What was it like this year? What are the locations? How many people come? All of that kind of information.
Yeah, well, part of the reason we made the move is because our championship right now is pretty unique. We actually play it on our campuses in a way that the highest seed in every game hosts that game. So if you can consider yourself a participant in the tournament, you might go to UNF to play a game, and if you win, then you might be going to Eastern Kentucky to play a game, and if you win, you might be going to Central Arkansas to play a game. Which has its challenges. Yeah, and it's great in the sense that, I mean, on our campuses, it's fantastic because you get really good crowds, you're activating your community, so that's really a benefit of what has been the structure. But the travel and the toll that it takes on our student athletes, the fact that our visiting teams, you know, their families, their parents, they don't have the opportunity to follow their sons and daughters as they make their way through the tournament. It's just too complicated. So those are just a few of the benefits in moving this to one location.
Yeah, I'm sure you've been working on or already have some partnerships that go into this. What's the impact on tourism and hospitality to have that full week of competition and all those teams, all those games?
We're working on partnerships as we speak, but we have many already in place. I mentioned Visit Jacksonville, the city of Jacksonville. Both of those entities, we wouldn't be here without them. The commitment that they've made to the event, to supporting the event in so many different ways, critical to us being here. So kudos to them on helping to bring it together. We also wouldn't be here without the help of JU and UNF and President Tim Cost and President Moez Lamayem, also integral in us bringing this tournament together to the city. So we have those partnerships already embedded. Now we're working on going out and finding other partners that are interested in supporting the event and our student athletes. And we haven't announced anything yet, so I won't break any news, but we're already making some progress in that space.
Jeff Bacon, Commissioner of the ASUN, is with us today as our guest. The city of Jacksonville spent, you've alluded to this, but spent $1.5 million to launch the Jacksonville Sports Foundation. They did that last year. Is some of what we're talking about, is that a direct result of the foundation and their effort, their mission to bring more events to the city?
Well, I'll tell you, moving the offices here, they hadn't yet announced a sports foundation when I got the job, but I connected with Michael Corrigan, who many people in the city know with the Sports Foundation, who's an outstanding person. And one of the first things he shared with me is their intention to do that. And that played a big role in our consideration of moving our offices here. On a more direct scale, bringing the tournament here, absolutely. Absolutely. We could not move a tournament of this size and scale to a city that didn't have that infrastructure already built. So having a sports foundation, having that sales capacity, having that staffing capacity, being able to connect us with people in the industry, if not for the sports foundation, I'm pretty sure we would not be in Jacksonville.
Yeah. I'm curious about this. City of Jacksonville last hosted the NCAA tournament as a site in 2019. The conference tournaments always happen before the big dance, all of that.
Yeah.
Is this something that would, in your view, help the city gain traction with doing that again? Or is it something, hey, if they've already got the ASUN conference tournament there, we wouldn't look at Jacksonville? What do you think?
No, I think it enhances the opportunity. I mean, those things are hard to guarantee because there's so much competition for them these days, right? And I come from a place, I was at the Mid-American Conference for almost 20 years. We hosted that tournament many times in Cleveland. In fact, they just hosted a first and second round there a week ago, or a few days ago. And I think in the MAC, from my experience there, having the conference tournament there in Cleveland, which they do, having the conference office in Cleveland, which they do, having a partnership with the arena, which they do, having a partnership with the city and the sports commission, which they do, that's what made Cleveland really buzz in terms of bringing events there. And I think we've now situated ourselves in the same way in Jacksonville, with a conference office headquartered here, with a annual Division I basketball tournament. It's proof to the NCAA that you can execute a large-scale event over that number of days. And I think for the committee that decides where those tournaments are going, it gives them a sense of confidence that if we go to Jacksonville, not only is the city going to do a great job, because they've hosted this thing a few times, as you mentioned, done a spectacular job, but I think we throw a little bit of fuel on that fire in terms of enhancing the opportunity to bring it back.
Jeff, what was your view or the leadership of the Atlantic Sun Conference to what is happening in Jacksonville? How much of your decisions, and we want to bring the tournament here, is connected to the fact that there's development happening in downtown and around? The sports complex is growing, that there's a new stadium coming for the Jaguars. There's a Four Seasons hotel going up. I mean, there's a lot of positive momentum, at least from our perspective. Yeah. Is that the same for what you guys view it as?
It's absolutely the same. And I'll give you an example. As we were considering some of the cities that were interested in this event, we toured around, all of them, of course. And when you walk into downtown Jacksonville now and you see the hotel setups, you see the growth. I don't know the name of the project, Kent, but they're redeveloping the front of that. There's a park being developed down there. What they're doing with the new football stadium, what they're doing with the the baseball stadium renovations that are taking place. You walk in and you say, hey, this is different. This is an experience. And when our student athletes and our fans come down here, they're going to walk in and have the same reaction, which is, it's a beautiful day. I'm right here on the waterfront. Yeah. This is incredible. I'm 2 minutes from the beach. I'm walkable to the venue. There's all kinds of things happening here. I feel like I'm in a vibrant city with a lot going on, and that adds to the experience. So the growth of the city is definitely critical to being here, and knowing that not only the experience we're going to get now is going to be great, but it's only going to get better.
What's the feedback you've gotten from schools outside of Jacksonville, schools a little part of the conference? Do they say, yeah, this is a good idea, March in Northeast Florida, or are you getting any pushback from changing the venues?
Well, we're a membership-driven organization as a conference, which means I've never voted once in my entire life. I made a lot of recommendations, but I've never voted. So our schools vote on these things. They make the decisions. So our 12 schools collectively chose Jacksonville, right? That wasn't just a me decision by any means. So our schools are really excited to be here. They wanted to be here, and they saw the other options on the table and chose Jacksonville for the reasons that I'm describing. Our fans are going to be fans, so we're going to have fans that love it and fans that don't, and that's great. It shows that people care, which we like. We don't expect to always get positives on everything that we do, but what I'm finding out is I talk to fans directly is that they're pretty darn excited. This lines up with a lot of folks' spring break. So I've talked to a lot of students, in fact, directly that have said, hey, I can't wait. I'm booking my spring break trip to Jacksonville next year because I know my basketball teams are going to be there. I can watch some games, and I can go on my spring break trip with my friends. So I think our students are excited. Our schools are definitely excited, and I think our fans are going to really enjoy the experience when they get down here.
Before we wrap up, I'm curious your perspective. How does your conference deal with some of the things we're seeing in the major conferences? There's so much unrest, I think, for fans because the dynamics, the money has changed, name, image, likeness, on top of all the realignment that's gone on in these bigger conferences over the last year or two.
Yeah, we are arguably experiencing the biggest shift of change in college athletics, certainly in my lifetime, if not in the industry's lifetime. And it's all happening simultaneously. All the things that you mentioned, any one of those things independently of the others is a significant change, let alone all together. We're also developing a new governance structure right now that we intend to launch in July, which is kind of bananas when you think about that. So much change happening at the same time. I mean, our job is to care about and position our schools in the Atlantic Sun Conference for success, despite what's going on around us. We can't control everything going on around us. The House settlement is here. Name, image, and likeness is here. A lot of those things have tremendous benefit. We've just done a really poor job as an industry, myself included, of managing that change and being in front of that change and doing what we know we need to do. And there's reasons for that are good, and there's reasons for that aren't. But you know, at this point in time, I embrace the change. I like to say I'm comfortable being uncomfortable. I think that's how you have to be in college athletics these days, for sure, because it is uncomfortable with all the change that's happening around us, but that creates a lot of opportunity. We're exploring some of those opportunities as a league right now that I'm really excited and energized about. And I think if we can do this the right way, and I say we as an NCAA entity altogether, we have a chance to reshape this in a way that college athletics can continue to provide the value that it does for young people, which is just exponential. Hundreds and hundreds of thousands of students getting educated and graduating every year. That's what it's really all about.
Right, yeah.
Right? And we got to tell that story better, but we can keep that around and we can still do these things that modernize the industry and provide additional benefits for student athletes and reward those that deserve or need those rewards. So,
Jeff, I appreciate that. I know change in any industry, change is hard, but good leaders have to anticipate it, embrace it, and then get everybody else to say, this is the direction we're going in. It's not easy, but it's really important to do, isn't it? Yeah,
you have no other choice. You know, you like to say you're driving down a set of train tracks and there's a train coming right at you. You can get off those tracks and build your own, or you can get run over by the train. I don't like getting run over by trains. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. Our guest today, Atlantic Sun Conference Commissioner Jeff Bacon. Thanks so much for talking through those things. Exciting times, both for the city of Jacksonville and Northeast Florida, and certainly for you and the conference.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Great to meet you. I've enjoyed it.
All right, and thank you for joining us on This Week in Jacksonville Business Edition. We'd invite you to like, follow, or subscribe wherever you get your podcast. New episodes drop every Thursday at 9 a.m.